Hey guys, so it has been too long, way too long on this channel, and well, first off, I hope you're all doing amazing and staying safe and healthy, of course. I've missed you guys. If you're not subscribed to my main gaming channel, thank you for subscribing to this one. And hey, if you're new here, my name is Kat. Thank you so much for joining, and if you have time, I hope you'll stay a while. Second, I just want to mention that I'm filming with natural daylight, so if the lighting is a little bit weird in this video, please excuse that. We're sorting it out, you know. This was a little bit of a not planned book haul, as you can probably see on the title already. Basically, what prompted this is, if you saw my last video on this channel, it would have been like my weekend in the life or something like that. I don't know if this video is going up before that or vice versa, but regardless, a little bit of context or a backstory, I suppose. I haven't picked up a fiction book in gosh knows how long. I can't even tell you. It's all hazy to me. When I started my business, I was 19 going on 20, and I'm well into my 20s now. So it's a good, you know, few years where I've only been reading pretty much nonfiction books. I've very rarely had time to read, nor did I have much energy to read. So whenever I do, it usually ends up being like a business book or management or self-help and motivation and all of that. Some favorites off the top of my head being Grit by Angela Duckworth, I believe, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, Atomic Habits, James Clear. So much gold in that book. And one more was The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up by Mark Ronson. I really hope that I'm saying all the authors' names right. Anyway, fast forward to now. In the past year or so, almost 2 years now, I was slowly transitioning to working from home almost full time. I rediscovered my love for reading, and I think I bought just a little over 33 physical books, and I downloaded some on my e-reader as well. But where I was basically going with my initial ramble, as I started to get curious again and try to find books to read, because I've, you know, missed out on so many great ones, I'm sure, in the past few years. I happen to find myself in the beautiful rabbit hole that I'm sure you guys know more than me, called booktube. I could not stop consuming all this booktube content, and I loved watching the book shopping or the thrifting and the Little Free Library tours, which actually got a couple good ones from Little Free Libraries as well, and of course book hauls. I've been loving watching so many book hauls recently because it's a way for me to find out what everyone else is buying, and then them sharing, you know, whether it's something that they already love or their friends loved or however they found the book. It's just such a fun way to get myself back into the world of reading, I suppose, but also find out what everyone's liking these days. I don't know. With my book haul today, it definitely has some horror and spooky or thriller picks. It's a few days from Halloween weekend at the time that I'm filming this, so I was just really in the mood to read some spooky stuff. But back then I definitely erred more toward the side of fantasy books, but also true crime. Yes. The books that you'll see today will be definitely a mix of different genres. If it doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. I'm just, you know, trying to catch up on a lot of the books that I'm just now learning about. But also, I think some pretty good horror and spooky picks in there in time for this season. A set of books that I'm actually really excited for. I think I'm gonna save that one for last. So if you want to find out all the 30-something books that I ended up with, please feel free to keep watching. Definitely please bear with me because I don't know how to do a book haul, and I guess this is my official debut into the booktube world. Hey. I'm both very excited, but also so scared because I already can't play all of the video games that I want to play because priorities and adulting and all of that, and now I'm adding this other hobby into my life, but that's okay. You know, I love the idea of swapping my screen time to reading books lately because I am always on screen, if not for work, for leisure. I'm always in front of a screen, so it's been really nice. Anyway, I'm so sorry for the long ramble, but you know, I missed talking to you guys and hanging out with you. Let's just jump into it now, shall we? Look how cute my mug is. So I guess let's just jump into it. Starting with pretty much the first book that I picked up again in a bookstore. It's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I didn't know anything about it. I just one day decided, you know, I do really want to start reading again. So I just walked into a Chapters Indigo. I live in Canada, by the way, if you are new here, and that is our kind of big bookstore chain. And I walked in not knowing anything about this book, just like the olden days. Olden days makes it feel like prehistoric times, but you know what I mean? Like before we over-research everything and look for reviews and recommendation lists, we just walked into the bookstore. We either loved the book cover or loved what was written in the back, and this one caught my eye immediately with a cover. And in the back it says, "Between life and death there is a library, and within that library the shelves go on forever. Every book provides a chance to try another life you could have lived, to see how things would be if you had made other choices. Would you have done anything different if you had a chance to undo your regrets?" And that just sounded so interesting to me. I also, over the summer, just got into K-dramas, and I recently finished Hotel del Luna and Mystic Pop-Up Bar. And while it's not exactly this type of story, it just kind of gave me that similar vibes where it made me feel like it would be a book that I might enjoy. And so I did finish this already, but it's not a book review video. I can say though generally that I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it enough to pick up another book by the same author, Matt Haig, and this one is How to Stop Time. This one I ordered from Amazon. It was on sale for like $5 or $6. $5, so I couldn't pass it up. I mean, again, this was just the beginning of my new book collection, so I don't know much about this one, to be honest. I know that it was optioned for a feature film. I don't know if it's still happening, but on the jacket it says, "How many lifetimes does it take to learn how to live?" So I don't know if it's going to be kind of like Midnight Library, but similar vibes once again, and so we got that one. Also on Amazon, this one just ended up on my recommendation page after I purchased the Matt Haig books. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It had a lot of good reviews. It sounded interesting as well. That's all. That's all my criteria is for picking out these books, because again, I feel like I'm brand new to the world of reading again. It says, "We here at Last Friend Inc. are collectively sorry for this loss of you. Our deepest sympathies extend to those who love you and those who will never meet you. We hope you find a new friend of value to spend your final hours with today." So my understanding is that it's about a service that lets you know when it's your last day, and then they kind of link you up with someone else who is also going to pass around the same time that you're going to pass, and so these two people find each other in their last 24 hours and basically try to go on an adventure of their lifetime. Right. Also from Amazon, this one actually I found from a booktuber's channel. I wish I can remember right now, but when I tell you that I've been binge watching so much booktube content, it's a lot. So I couldn't quite remember. I know a few channels mentioned this book, but I just saw it also on a good deal on Amazon, and it's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I've got my little bookmark in there right now because this is the one that I'm reading next. So this is the second one that I'm tackling after Midnight Library. I haven't read too much, but just on first impressions, I am really enjoying the world, the build-up of the main character. I think she's the main character, or really early on, but I've heard many good things about The Night Circus, and I'm really excited to finish this. Back into the bookstore, they were doing a 2 for $15 deal on mass market paperbacks, and these two caught my eye. The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Also heard some good things about this. It's supposed to be an engrossing, unnerving thriller. Mesmerizing adult debut from Leigh Bardugo, a tale of power, privilege, dark magic, and murder set among the Ivy League elite. So it's giving that dark academia vibes and, you know, thriller, murder, and magic. Sign me up. I, again, don't know anything about this. I've never read anything by this author, but it sounds like something that I'll enjoy. Let me know if you've read this one. But the second one that I got for the 2 for $15 deal is a book called A Whisper Man. This one, honestly, I haven't even seen it on booktube or read any reviews, but it was just one of those moods once again that I just wanted to pick up something that looked good and I knew nothing about, and I went with The Whisper Man. Hopefully it's good. The cover really caught my eye. I love the minimal, just black and white with a raised gold title. And one of the reviews on the back say that The Whisper Man is much more than the sum of its parts. It's nightmarish and disturbing, and at the same time a moving and life-affirming novel about fathers and sons in grief, loss, and recovery. So what I understand is that it's about a serial killer. That's all that I know. At my very last trip to Indigo, I ended up with a few classics. So they were doing a deal once again, and I know most of these titles I can get for really cheap online, like on my e-reader or a different, like maybe used copy even, but I just couldn't pass up the deal. They were doing 3 for $10 for these classics, and these are the ones that I ended up with. Can we just appreciate how cute their paper bag is as well, by the way? It is for Indigo kids, but I guess, you know, I'm a big kid inside. All right, so in no particular order, so I got 6 in total. The first one being To Have and Have Not by Ernest Hemingway. There you go. Do I know anything about it? I do not. You probably, again, know more about these books than I do, so I apologize. Set during the Great Depression of the early 1930s and narrated by various characters, tells the story of Harry Morgan, a fishing boat captain. In order to make ends meet, Harry is forced to smuggle contraband and illegal immigrants between Cuba and Key West in Florida with dramatic consequences. Next one is Walden by Henry David Thoreau. So it's about his time in isolation. It says that Henry David Thoreau left his home in 1845 to live a contemplative life in the remote house that he built by himself by the tranquil Walden Pond. Throughout his 2 years there, he diligently chronicled his observations, a positive and insightful look at human solitude. So those 2 I actually just picked by random because I don't know a lot about classics, very, very limited knowledge, besides a small handful that I was able to read. And the next 2 books here are by an author whose book I actually really love. So by F. Scott Fitzgerald, this is Tender is the Night. So one of my all-time favorite books is The Great Gatsby, but that is actually the only book that I've ever read by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Set in the French Riviera of the mid-1920s, it's a new playground for rich Americans. So hopefully this is going to be another new favorite. I really like Fitzgerald's writing style and just the setting overall. I love the 1920s and that kind of vibe and atmosphere, I guess. I'm really not a booktuber. I don't know how to explain these things. Another one by F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Beautiful and the Damned. This one says that it's about Anthony and Gloria Patch. They're a rich and passionate couple who drink and dance away their days in glorious decadence. My book tower that I'm building right beside me is starting to topple over, but we've got tons more to go, ladies and gents. The last 2 from the classics set, I got 1984 by George Orwell. This one I got curious about because it's actually free right now on Prime Reading if you have Amazon Prime, but saw this again through BookTube, and someone had mentioned that this was the inspiration for the show Big Brother. Not that I watched that show at all, but I found it interesting. It's like a dystopian political tyranny, mind control, paranoia, and secret mass surveillance. So that sounds super interesting. And then my final book, also from George Orwell, which is Animal Farm. This one, my mom recommended it. Of all books, she said that they did a study of this in her school, and it says something about pigs going on some sort of an uprising or something like that. I don't know. If I'm completely wrong about how I'm describing these books, again, I'll just keep apologizing throughout this video. I don't know anything about it, but I'm excited to read it. So starting off with a couple for that, you know, Halloween and spooky theme, I picked up a copy of Coraline, a book I have read already when I was younger as well, but I just wanted to have this in my new book collection that I'm starting to grow, and it's the 10th anniversary edition copy, if that means anything to you. And another spooky read, which is Dracula by Bram Stoker. A classic, an icon even. This is a pocketbook from the 1984. So very cool. It's in great condition. As someone who loves collecting retro with gaming, with records and home decor items, etc., I think that it's cool to have an older book copy as well. And then I also felt very in the mood for like thriller type of books. So one of the first authors that comes to mind when I think of thriller or horror or crime and all of that is Stephen King. So I picked up The Dark Tower. This one, I guess it was made into a movie. I may have seen it, but I have zero recollection of it. I don't know what it's about at this point, but you might know what it's about. This one I actually just got interested in because of a booktuber as well. She made a video about her Stephen King collection and where to start with Stephen King, and this was one of the books she mentioned, and I just noticed it at the thrift store. So I thought, why not? And another Stephen King book, which is The Long Walk. This one I picked up because I am a little bit obsessed about the Squid Game, the show. Huge fan. On one of the recommendation lists that I read, someone had said that if you're into that sort of battle royale type of story, that you'll enjoy The Long Walk by Stephen King. Only death can keep you from the finish line in the ultimate competition of the all too near future. The Long Walk. Every year on the first day of May, 100 teenage boys meet for an event known throughout the country as the Long Walk. Among this year's chosen crop is 16-year-old Ray Garrity. He knows the rules, that warnings are issued if you fall under the speed, stumble, sit down, that after 3 warnings you get your ticket. And what happens then serves a chilling reminder that there can only be one winner in the walk, the one that survives. So I'm probably gonna read this one soon, maybe alongside Night Circus as well, but the next I picked up from Goodwill is The Plague by Albert Camus. I'm actually on the search for a copy of The Stranger. That was the one that had been highly recommended. So I know nothing about The Plague, but the cover actually caught my eye. And then when I realized that it's also by Albert Camus, I just wanted to pick it up and see what it's about, you know? That's why we read books after all. And the sun is starting to set, so I hope that the lighting isn't too crazy in this video. We're about halfway through though. This one, honestly, can't tell you anything about it. It's called A Gentleman's Murder by Christopher Wong. Another one that I just picked up, purely based on the cover. A review says that a mystery that recalls the best of Golden Age detective fiction. With fresh characters and unique twists, Wong has created a whodunit with just the right mix of old and new. And from that, thought that this might be a book that would interest me. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Once again, don't know if it's good or bad. It might be horrible. I guess I will find out eventually. This next book, 15 Dogs by Andre Alexis. I actually saw this in Indigo as well, and I wanted to pick it up because, well, first of all, dogs. But also, it says that it's about a bet between the gods Hermes and Apollo leads them to grant human consciousness and language to a group of dogs who are overnighting at a Toronto veterinary clinic. So it's like a what if dogs were as smart as humans or something like that. That's the gist that I'm getting. I used to be really into Greek mythology and any sort of retelling, so I guess that's my reason for getting it. Okay, on to the last 3 books that I got from the thrift store. I just unpacked We moved in this house about a year ago, just over a year ago, and I haven't unpacked any of my books. The same reason being I haven't really read or picked up a fiction book in so long, but among those were the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. While at the thrift shop, I found book 4 and book 5, which is City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls. So book 4 and 5 of the series. I figured maybe reread the series and maybe complete it this time. I think I'm missing one more, the last book. I haven't read the series in so long, but I mean, I got it for super cheap as well. So if I don't end up reading it, I will just donate it back. And I also picked up the Clockwork Angel, also by Cassandra Clare. It is also a Shadow Hunters novel. This is the Infernal Devices series. I heard really great things about this one, and one of the booktubers that I am really enjoying lately, this is her favorite series, so I thought that maybe I will probably read this before I reread Mortal Instruments first. So that concludes all the books that I got from the thrift. I guess I will go over the books that I got from my little free library tour. Another thing that I came across in the rabbit hole of booktube, I found all these little free library tour videos, and I thought they were so fun and just a nice way to, you know, go around your city and feel like a tourist for a day. I didn't realize that our city actually has a good number of little free libraries, which is really, really cool. I'm going to link it below as well if you're curious to find out if you have any around your area. It's really, really fun. So like I mentioned, I finally unpacked my old books, among which were ones that I knew for sure I wasn't going to read again, and these are the books that I ended up swapping with my old books for. So the first one was a book that I actually thought about picking up at Indigo, but I saw a pretty much brand new copy of it in one of the little free libraries, and it's Grown Ups by Marion Keyes. It says they're a glamorous family, the Caseys. Johnny Casey, his brothers Ed and Liam, their beautiful, talented wives, and all their kids spend a lot of time together, and they're a happy family. Johnny's wife, Jessie, who has the most money, insists on it. Under the surface, though, conditions are murkier. While some people clash, other people like each other far too much. Still, everything manages to stay under control. That is, until Ed's wife, Cara, gets a concussion and can't keep her thoughts or opinions to herself. One careless remark at Johnny's birthday party with the entire family present, and Cara starts spilling all their secrets. As everything unravels, each of the adults find themselves wondering if it's finally time to grow up. So it sounds interesting and fun and lighthearted, but also I like that it kind of tackles, you know, adulting, and I'm so horrible at explaining things, but you get it, right? Next, from another little free library, I got Renegades. This is a well-loved copy that I found, but it's nice to see that someone found enjoyment in this book and really took their time to read it, it seems. I've heard very polarizing views about it being, you know, amazing to just downright boring and like a rinse and repeat story of superheroes, but it's a YA novel. I think there's only so much that you can do as well with superhero stories, and I personally, you know, like X-Men and Avengers, and if I'm looking for just like a light, easy read, I think Renegades by Marissa Meyer might be something that I'll jump into soon. I do jump between like 2 to 3 books at a time because I get easily bored, but at the same time I just like a variety, unless a book is that gripping that I have to finish that and only that. I do really enjoy jumping from story to story. And I guess Marissa Meyer also wrote the Cinder series. I know that book was really popular around the time that I still read books. I actually can't wait to check this out so I can find out which side of the spectrum I will be, if I will either love it or not love it. This one I also picked up more for the sort of thriller vibes that I wanted for this season, but The Girl on the Train. It is an older book and it was turned into a movie as well. I don't remember too much about it. I watched the film, but all I remember is that I didn't love it. So I guess it wasn't that memorable for me, at least, because I don't know. I can't tell you what happened anymore. I just know that I watched it. But The Girl on the Train, the book, seems to be recirculating, I guess, in the booktube world, and a few people actually recommended this book and said that they will be rereading it as well. So, and lastly, from a little free library, it's the Harry Potter 20th anniversary edition, I believe. It's the Gryffindor special like print edition of the Philosopher's Stone. It's got the really cool sprayed edges of the Gryffindor colors, and so this one, you know, I personally am not promoting, you know, supporting J.K. Rowling's books anymore. I mostly picked this up because of nostalgia. I grew up on the Harry Potter movies, and I was also sorted into the House of Gryffindor, so I thought that this was a cool find in a little free library though, but I wouldn't have paid money for it. It's just a nice little keepsake. I don't own any of the Harry Potter books, but I don't mind having this one just for, again, nostalgia and memory's sake. It is a really cool edition though, but I guess that's all I'm going to say about that. And last but not the least, in one of the last little free libraries that I went to, I found a hardcover of The Night Circus. And I'm probably going to keep this one and donate the paperback copy of The Night Circus, the one that I'm reading. I really want to keep the hardcover version, and again, you know I just started the book, but from all the reviews that I'm hearing and from what I've read so far, it just seems like something that I will really enjoy, and I was so thrilled to find this in the little free library because the hardcovers aren't available in my city. At least they're all out of stock right now, and on Amazon it's quite expensive to buy because they're like resale copies, and I guess I don't know how popular this book really is, but you know, when resellers tend to overprice things, they probably know the demand of it. So I'm really happy with this find. It is getting pretty dark now, but so last but definitely not the least, also recently started getting into mangas because I used to watch anime lots when I was younger, and then again just having different priorities and other hobbies through life. I haven't watched any anime for so long, but I got into Demon Slayer and that could be a whole other, you know, video. But long story short, I really enjoy the anime, watched the movie as well. I did not want it to end, so I looked into reading the manga for it, and since getting into that other rabbit hole, I've been finding other series that I want to read and want to get into, and then I saw someone feature works by this really well-known horror manga artist named Junji Ito. And I immediately went, you know, online as I do, check Indigo, check Amazon, and try to find out where I can buy his books. But the ones that were being recommended were all sold out. Again, being resold for like triple the retail price, which I am not about. The very same day I looked him up, a listing came up on Kijiji, which is like another Facebook marketplace. It's a Canadian buy and sell service. Someone listed their collection of Junji Ito books or manga, and I was so happy. Are you guys ready? So they had 6 Junji Ito books, and I was more than happy to pay the price that they were selling this for. It was a really great deal, and I'm so excited, and I think it's so perfect to read for Halloween weekend. I love horror films. I used to love reading horror books. I play spooky video games as well, which I, by the way, made a video on my gaming channel if you want to check it out. But in her collection is Dissolving Classroom, Fragments of Horror, Shiver, which I think Fragments of Horror, Shiver, and Smashed are all a collection of short stories. And then the last 2 is Gyo, which on the back it says, "Something's rotten in Okinawa. The floating smell of death hangs over the island. What is it?" A strange legged fish appears on the scene. So begins Tadashi and Kaori's spiral into the horror and stench of the sea. Here's the creepiest masterpiece of horror manga ever from the creator of Uzumaki, Junji Ito. Hold your breath until all is revealed. And speaking of Uzumaki, this was also a part of her collection, and this one says, "Spiral, this town is contaminated with spirals. Kurouzo-cho," I really hope I'm saying that right, a small fog-bound town on the coast of Japan, is cursed. According to Suichi Saito, the withdrawn boyfriend of teenager Kirie Goshima, their town is haunted not by person or being, but a pattern, Uzumaki, the spiral, the hypnotic secret shape of the world. The bizarre masterpiece of horror manga is now available in a single volume. Fall into a whirlpool of terror. So this and Gyo is the full collection of the different volumes of this story. And can I just look at even just the front cover or the front flap? Look at that. I mean, I don't know anything about the stories. I don't know what to expect at all, but he writes the stories and he also illustrates them, and I just think that they're so... It feels wrong to say beautiful because they are very creepy and gruesome and disturbing, most of them. But I just think that he is so talented, and you know, as someone who is into the horror genre and really enjoy looking at artworks and illustrations, this, I think, you know, I've only read a couple of his short stories from the Shiver book, and I might be a new fan. And really quickly as well, I just want to mention a couple ebooks that I've been reading. One that I actually finished alongside Midnight Library. As I mentioned, I like to bounce from book to book and usually of different genres. Verity by Colleen Hoover was one that came highly recommended to me, and a lot of people love that author. I'm so sorry, again, I don't know anything about her work. I haven't read much. I've got a lot of catching up to do, but I finished Verity. Also currently reading The Secret Life of Addie LaRue, and I would love to soon start Mexican Gothic. Let me get another sip of my coffee. I guess that's it for my book haul. My camera is actually about to die, so kind of the perfect timing to wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you've read any of these books. No spoilers though, please. And if you have any of your own favorites or recommendations that you think I will also like, please comment it down below. I'm loving, you know, rediscovering this world of reading and discovering old and new favorites that I missed out on the last few years, but also new releases that you think I should check out. I am just open and willing to try out all the books, all of them. I had so much fun doing this, and I hope that I can do it again. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. As always, have a beautiful day, and until next time.